do you believe in God? It's a question that you may have been asked, or you may have asked this question yourself in some period during your life. It's a very popular question, but we have to understand the question first. And this question has three aspects. It's the you. Do you believe in God? What you means. The belief aspect. What does belief really mean? And the third aspect, of course, is God. What does God mean? We have to define, if we want an accurate question and an ensuing accurate answer, we have to define exactly what do we mean by these three principles. And let's start with the third one. What does God mean to you? You asking the question. How do you define God? And if we define God as being the creator, you know, the word creator has a certain weight within it. We may think of a creator as something specific, which then makes the creator a created. It makes it a being, a certain entity with certain responsibilities. It's the creator. But then who has created such a being? Who is the creator of that being? And the usual answer is that, of course, God has always been. But then, how is he there in the first place? What creates God's being? And I don't think you can answer that question. If God has been since time immemorial, who has created time then? Okay. But we may think of God as the creator that isn't a being. And that's a notion that many people dealing with consciousness deal with, which is that God isn't a being, and it instead is the source of being, which we call consciousness. But the problem with this is that it's a non-starter from the start of it, because we don't have access to this. We can't see consciousness, we can't perceive consciousness, we can't experience consciousness if it supposedly is what is experiencing, because that would be another experience. That was my first video all about. So we can categorically exclude this definition of God if we become certain in our experience that we can't experience that which experiences things. So if we can't ascertain that there is such a thing, there is no way of talking about it. So between these two, God being a being and God being the source of being, which we have no access to, there is a place. And that place is what is itself. If we define God as what is, then it's self-proven that God is what is, and there is no need for any debate whatsoever. So if we define God as being, as existence, then God is self-evident. But then the word loses its mysticism, and that's okay. If all there is being, then if we want to talk about God, we have to talk about whatever is, whatever has been in time, and whatever will be. And that leads us to the word belief. Do we believe in God? And belief is a non-determinable object. If we use the word believe, then there is no real debate. You know, I believe that there is something and you don't. And that's the end of the story. There's no gradient there. There's no level. You can't say that one belief is more certified or certifiable than another one. And there's a problem there. We say we believe that there's something because of of some premises, but really all we do is reduce the uncertainty, but uncertainty is there. So is there a use of the word belief in that context? If we believe that there can be a God of certain qualities, then yes, it's like believing that there are extraterrestrials or not. But we're not looking for extraterrestrials here. God isn't an alien. I'll say that again. God isn't an alien. We define God as what created this place, and even the word what indicates to a being. But a being can't create being. Can a non-being create being? There is no non-being. A negative never is. So the only thing we can say about God is that it's what is. And there is no place for belief in that. If we say that God is all that is, and we go to you, it's a personal word. Do you believe in God? But if we have dissected God and belief, what does you have the power to do? Well, first of all, is there a you that believes? Or is it beliefs that are acting throughout the human organism that is part of a certain procedure that's called human life? And this human life, something that a human being controls? Or is human life a natural procedure which includes search for said God? But going back to the question, do you believe in God? Even if we don't investigate who is asking the question and who is being called to answer it, we can see that God is already a construct of a mind. And we can't reliably answer such a question about the whole of creation without first considering what the presumptions of the question already are before even asking that question. And everybody has ideas of what God really is. But if all we know in life is creation, then the only way to define God is a concept which is the whole of creation. See you next time.